to make an announcement that the council, I think everybody got an invitation regarding the open house at the Logos Realty out on Shadden Road. So hopefully everybody that's available can make that. Okay, let's go with the, we're going to start with the agenda with the discussion about the income tax. I think the mayor had a handout. Did everybody get a copy? Okay, we have, the committee passed a resolution in support of item number 4. I don't know if everybody bought the sheet from scenario number 4 from the last meeting, but if you did, that's the that scenario we passed, and there was some discussion regarding how the money was going to be divided up between the various groups. So we have a resolution in effect, and now we're discussing as to how that income tax funding is going to be divided up among the various departments. So Mayor Grace, if you're prepared to go into a discussion regarding the handout.
Can you give me just one moment, please?
Sure. In the interim, we can look this over. Does everybody have a copy of the handout? It's called Building the City's Resource Capacity. Do you guys did you get that? Do you have a copy of this? Yeah. Okay. Anybody not have a copy? Okay.
Okay, Mr. President.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. The sheet that was handed out to you shows the progression of the discussion that we've had. The top of the page shows what a median household income, what it would cost them, and whether it be 1/4% or 0.5%. The next tier showing scenario 4, dated July 23rd. That was what was presented to strategic planning last week. And then the next section that describes scenario 4, 723 committee report. That reflects the amended discussion from the scenario above. Difference between the two being that in the upper scenario showed 50% going to streets. That was reduced to 45% or 2.5 million. Police was raised by 5% to 25%, and then emphasized in the notes in parks, out of their proposed allocation, 100,000 of that would be used toward police. Similarly with downtown, 100,000 of their 560 would be allocated toward police. So that was, as I understand, that was what was passed in the committee as a committee report. I think largely that needs to be discarded and focus our discussion on the next portion of the page. And somewhere in translation, apparently there is, between the auditor and our office, about nearly $1 million off. And I'll go to this next number. Here, in 2009, general fund appropriation, $31,347,000. That was what was passed in the general fund for this year. The Special Parks Fund began this year with $391,000. And to refresh your memory on this, the Special Park Fund, it accumulates funds from the park fees and concession revenues within the park. and it accumulates every year, and we spend it largely what we bring in, but we spend less, so that fund creeps up each year, and it's crept up to the point of having a balance of about $391,000. Largely, the way we've maintained what programming we have within the parks has been spending that fund down. And it's our expectation by the end of the year that balance will be close to zero. So those funds will be unavailable. The general fund then, essentially general fund / parks, would be those two top numbers combined to be $31.7 million. That's a reflection of the current level of services we're providing this year. Now the auditor estimated revenue, and I show here $28,397,000. That number, you can scratch that out, and that number is, Mr. Auditor, for
$27,441,558 is the number that I submitted to the Lorraine County Tax Commission, Budget Commission.
What was that number again?
$27,441,558. I took into consideration some possible reduction in property values. This is the three-year adjustment, and talk is that the property values will drop in the city, which means, property tax is not a large portion of our income, but we do collect some in property tax revenues, and also we need to redirect some of the inside millage from the general fund to the bond retirement fund to start paying off some of these notes that we have for example, for the fire trucks and the energy conservation project and what have you. So, sorry.
That's roughly that's $1 million less than.
Pardon me?
That's $1 million less, approximately.
Correct.
Okay, so you're gonna have to bear with me. You'll have to bear with me on the next set of numbers. Essentially, in option 1, where it shows with no additional revenue, the cuts would be $3.3 million. Add $1 million to that. Essentially, it'd be $4.3 million. So scratch the first 3 and make that a 4. $4,342,000. The next option, that dollar amount, the 542, put a 1 in front of that. That would be $1,542,000. And then in option 3, that $2.2 million would be $1.2 million. Scratch the 2 and replace that with a 1. And then that also changes the next set of numbers. It would require probably in the neighborhood of 80%. Showed 60% of the revenue, of new revenue, would be to restore the 4.3 million, actually 3.3 million. Now to restore 4.3 million, we're probably talking close to 80%. So if we pass a 0.5% income tax measure, 80% of that new revenue would simply put us where we're at today in terms of service levels. 80% of that. 20% of those funds would be available for that which would go beyond what we're providing right now. And the exercise, and if that is an option chosen, as to how those funds would be distributed between streets, police, parks, maintenance facility, downtown, any combination of those below. So probably in relative terms, that streets probably becomes closer to 7.5%, police 7.5%, and parks 5%. And again, cutting those numbers in half, so we're talking 420,000, 420, and 280. Just for that illustration.
Yeah.
Okay. So it comes down to the bottom of this page. There's 3 options available to us, and as many others as anyone wishes to offer. But option 1 is to no tax request, and we prepare for $4.3 million worth of cuts in addition to what we've already done. Okay. Option 2 is to propose a 0.25% income tax measure, bring in approximately $2.8 million, and still have to make $1.5 million worth of cuts, again, in addition to what we've already done. And option 3 would be the 0.5%, bring in $5.6 million, and that would give us $1.2 million available beyond what we have right now. And that just, by the way, puts us at a 0 ballots, which till this year, none of our memory have we been down below a couple $1 million, much below a couple $1 million.